Hello, everybody, and welcome to another installment of California Saltwater Fishing. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We are on the premiere out of H&M Landing on a half-day trip with their October special where kids fish free, which is a great way to get your kids out on the water, especially if they've never been, and do it in a very economic fashion. So here we are leaving at about 6:30 or so in the morning on a Sunday morning. You can see it's beautiful weather, beautiful conditions as we're heading out of Point Loma and heading up towards the bait receivers. This is a decent sized boat. I believe it's about 80 or 81 feet long. It can hold up to 55 passengers, but today we only had 29, which made it nice and roomy and a better experience overall. And here we are coming up on the bait receivers with lots of sea lions all over them. You can see a couple of decent sized groups hanging out there as the fella comes up to check the bait tanks and see which ones that we'll be taking our bait from. I was surprised how much bait we actually offloaded on this trip. It seemed almost as much bait as you would take on a multi-day trip, but I guess they're probably filling up the bait tanks for the half day in the afternoon as well too. But beautiful morning, kids were enjoying themselves, and that's the key thing on these kids trips, is making sure that the kids are nice and comfortable and enjoying their surroundings. It seems like they understand the point of fishing better than us adults sometimes, that it's not always about catching the fish, it's about just enjoying the ride. And a beautiful upper deck to hang out on. Went down below to the galley and picked up some breakfast for the girls and ourselves. We didn't bring the boys on this trip, just the younger girls today. Hopefully they were having a good time, at least having a good breakfast. And here's going to be a seminar that the deckhand's going to give about the fishing for the day.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nick. I'll be one of your deckhands for the day. You also have Nico. He's the gentleman signing you for bringing your rods up when you guys got on the boat. You have Captain Brandon driving the boat and Brian cooking your food down in the galley. For those of you who have not used this style setup before, this is a conventional style setup. You ever encounter one of these again in your life, they'll all operate the same way. You have a lever on the right-hand side of the reel right here. When this lever is down, your line is going out. Your thumb must be on the spool the entire time that lever is down and the line is going out, guys. So lever down, thumb on the spool, or else this will happen. Backlash, heading. Oh, I didn't do it. Backlash, turn on flat. So one time. Alright, so if you guys don't keep your thumb on the spool, your reel is basically going to blow up. All the line's going to loop up by itself. That one does not want to do it.
I'll take that one.
Lucky reel right here. So lever down, thumb on the spool, guys, or else your reel, all the line is just going to come out by itself. Your thumb is basically the brake when you guys are dropping it down. That spool wants to keep on spinning, so you guys need to slow that down when it is dropping down. So dropping it down to the bottom, once again, lever down, thumb on the spool. I promise you guys, if you remember that, lever down, thumb on the spool, 90% of your problems for the day will be solved. We are going to be sending this weight all the way down to the bottom. We want to make bottom contact with it. So we're going to drop it down, lever down, thumb on the spool. Once we hit bottom, you'll feel that weight slap on the bottom. We'll get slack in our line like this. Go ahead and engage your reel, click that lever on up, make that line tight, but make sure your weight is still on the bottom, guys. These fish do not like to come off the bottom very far. This needs to be in the rocks. If you're getting stuck, you're in the right place. So once it's down there, we're going to wait for that bite. Watch the rod tip, guys. It's not going to rip the rod out of your hand. It's not a shark, not tuna. It's just going to bounce it a little bit. Bite, bite, bite. Nibble, nibble, nibble. Lick, lick, lick. Tug, tug, tug. Once you guys are bit, give it a second or two. Let the fish get the bait in the mouth. So bite, bite, bite. Nibble, nibble, nibble. You guys are going to set that hook. Snap that rod tip up in the air and bend that hook in the top of that fish's face. So bite, bite, bite. Nibble, nibble, nibble. Wait a second or two. Set that hook. Once you have that fish on, nice and steady all the way to the surface, guys. You don't need to burn them up. It's just going to spin it off the hook. Nice and steady all the way up. You don't need to pump your rod either. I don't care if you saw wicked tuna. Just reel it in nice and easy, guys. Nice and steady. And one of the species we're going after today is the California scorpion fish, also known as a sculpin. You guys are familiar with bouncing beer. That's what they look like. If you're not, they kind of have a frog-looking head, big old wing pectoral fins, and they can range in color from brown, red, orange. They have black spots all over, and they are covered in spines. You you guys think you have a sculpin on, leave it over the rail. Excuse me. Call one of us over to either confirm or deny, and we will handle it from there. They are venomous. If you guys get hit, it does not feel good. I'll tell you that right now. So if you think it's a sculpin, I don't care if it is or is not. If you think it is, leave it over the rail. Have one of us either confirm or deny. We'll handle it from there, and they have to be 10 inches. That's a minimum keeping size for the sculpin. And if they are of 10 inches, we're going to be clipping them, giving them a haircut, getting all the little pokey parts off of them. Yeah, 10 inches for the sculpin. We may be getting into some bass today too. Bass have to be 14 inches. So we have a measuring board right here, and on the opposite side of the big tank where Nico is, 14 inches for those bass and 10 for the sculpin, guys. So we may be throwing back quite a few of the fish. We're going to be measuring up everyone that comes close. And for our bait today, we got some cut squid, cut sardine, live sardine. Nope, no anchovies. So for our cut bait, guys, this stuff is good till it's gone, even after multiple fish. If it's on your hook, poke it through once or twice more, you're good to drop it back down. It does not lose its smell, it does not lose its taste. So go through once, twice, 3 times. Make sure that hook point is exposed though, guys. Don't ball it up on the hook. You need that hook point exposed to hook the fish. And that is good till it is gone, guys. Multiple fish, just poke it on. Good to go, drop it right back down. Same concept with the squid, and you don't need 48 pieces of squid on your hook either, guys. One piece will do just fine. It's a big old free burrito, free hamburger floating down there for them. Just one piece of squid, guys. And if you guys want to stop using your squid, switch over to the live bait, please put it back in the Folgers can. It is reusable, recyclable. Once it is gone, it is gone. That's all we have. And for our live bait, got the sardines. Getting these guys out of the hand well. Don't be reaching in like this. You're never going to catch one. Just stick your hand in there, nice and gentle. Get underneath them. Grab them to the corners. They will literally sit in your hand. And we got a couple different sizes today too. These big old jumbo sardines. Avoid those. Try to get the smallest ones you can, guys. Smallest ones, like a 4-inch bait, is going to be the best one down there. Avoid the jumbos. I'll just strip those out for cut bait. Grab these guys behind the head as well. If you grab by the tail, it's going to flop out just like that. Grab them right behind the head, guys. We're going to give them a little nose here. So you can left to right, right to left. Right to the nose, just like that. Not to the side, not to the face, guys. Right to the nose, just like that. There's a little slot in there, like God invented it for a hook. Just like that, guys. You'll feel that barb click through once you put it through as well. Not through the eyes, not through the brain. You will kill your bait. And wait until the captain says to drop them in, bait them up, let them go. That's when you guys are going to put your live bait on the hook. If you guys put it on there before, it's just going to flop around in the air. It's going to die. It's no longer a live bait. It's no longer going to catch a fish. You can have your cut bait on the hook all day long. When we're moving spots, you can still have it on there. It'll rehydrate when it gets in the water. But your live bait, please wait until the captain says drop them in, let them go to put those on your hook. And also, wait until the captain says drop them in, let them go, bait them up. That's when you will put your line in the water as well. If you drop in too early, we're going to get stuck in the anchor line or sucked up in the prop. Either way, we're going to have to cut you guys off, start over again. So please wait for his order to drop into the water and also to put your live bait on the hook. So we are going to be setting the anchor today, so you guys have front, back, left, right. You guys can fish around the whole boat. But please wait for the captain to say get him in, let him go, drop him in, bait him up. That's when you guys will drop in the water. If any of you guys are feeling sick, flip it over to the side. Don't be shy and let it fly. Please do not go down to the galley. Don't lock yourself in the bathroom. It's just going to make it a million times worse. Send it over the side. The best spot's going to be where the trash cans are and the engine hatches, looking out at the horizon line. But do not go down to the galley. Don't lock yourself in the bathroom, guys. It's just going to make it worse. I do believe that is everything. Any questions, comments, concerns? It's a beautiful San Diego day to fill up some bags. I have a rental rod available for anyone who wants to use it that seems to be impervious to backlash.
I'll take it.
You guys are good to stand by, All your rental rods are all up there. They're all rigged identical. When the captain says go ahead and stand by, you guys go ahead and grab those. You guys are good to stand by. Thank you.
And there was a good little speech by the crew. I always recommend listening to those, even if you're an experienced angler. It's always good to hear what the crew's got to say, because no matter how long you've been fishing, these guys are out here every day, so it's good to hear something. And I always believe that on every trip you should try to learn something new.
You gotta poke him in the eye.
How did they get
when it pops up. He doesn't like that.
It's like a button.
Do that again.
See the spines?
What?
No.
And here we had some sculpin coming up. And one thing with the kids to always be careful of course, are those sculpin with those spines. You don't want them getting too close to them. You don't want to risk someone getting poked, because that'll really ruin everybody's day, especially theirs. And it's best to let the crew handle that, because as I said, they have the most experience with them. And here's Aria catching a nice rockfish that she was able to pull up. And here Ava was getting a double hitter where she got a rockfish and a smaller sculpin together at the same time, which was pretty cool to see.
Yep, you can bring him over. Okay, Ava, I think you have one. Real fast.
Here goes Ava tying into another sculpin that actually ended up being a keeper. Sometimes these smaller fish, you can barely feel them on the hook, but in this one just measured out at 10 inches, but it was still a keeper, and she was very excited to land her first keeper sculpin, which was something that she had been looking forward to doing for a while. Overall, the girls did great that day. We had a couple of keeper sculpin, as I mentioned, as well as a keeper calico bass and some blue perch. So they did exceptionally well given the conditions, and this was a pretty short trip. And I was very proud of them and what they did, and they both said that they learned something on this trip, mostly on how to handle the rods, make sure that they were using the proper leverage by putting the rod butt under their arm as they were reeling up. And that's one thing with these kids, when you take them on trips, you should always encourage them to try to find something new, something that they can learn out of each trip that they take. And even as adults, we should always strive to learn every time that we go on these trips, and not just assume that we know everything, and always look for something new to learn and to add to our repertoire of knowledge. Because the more that you can learn on these trips, the better off you'll be, and the better you can teach kids in the future of what they should, keep an eye out for. So overall, the girls did a great job, and were able to put quite a few fish in the bag, and had an awesome time doing it.
I don't think he's going to make the 10 inches.
Yeah, he
You
might
wanna
be
go ahead
right
and
on the
check him?
line. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind.
What number are you, friend?
Number 10, please.
Number 10, you got it.
Thank you. He's going to go check and see if you want to go follow him. And see.
And as you can see, there were lots of kids on the boat. A lot of people taking advantage of the kids fish free in San Diego in October. I know all of San Diego, the city itself, does a lot of specials for kids, getting in free and free bonuses for kids in the month of October. And this was just one of them. And some other boats do kids fish free as well too, especially in the off months like fall and winter, just to encourage to get kids out there. And sometimes those are the best times to take kids out, when there's not as many crowds and they're not going to get in the way of other folks who are out there seriously fishing. I know some serious fishermen don't like seeing kids on the boats, because they know that it's going to be a lot more for them to deal with kids running around and more tangles and whatnot. But I think that the off season is a great time to get your kids out there, and just to get them comfortable being on the water, enjoying the ride, as I said, having fun with it, and maybe learning a thing or two along the way.
Right on.
You want your fish caught?
I'm not sure how many. We kind of lost track.
And this was coming up near the end of the trip.
Yeah, please.
So they're coming around asking if you want them fillet or whole, or how you want your fish handled. And for those of you that aren't used to going out on trips, one thing that you might want to ask when they're doing the filleting, etc., is to get a sense of how much this service is going to cost. Because sometimes you might not be prepared. In some trips it's different. Sometimes it may just be $1 or $2 per fish. Sometimes with larger fish, like on that Dorado trip, they were $7 a fish, because they're more complicated. I've been on trips where they've been more expensive and they've been cheaper. So, just to get an idea of what you'll be paying, it's a good thing to ask them before just saying yes, especially because you can only pay in cash on these trips. So you want to make sure that you bring enough cash to cover the filleting as well as any sort of galley bills that you may have, and to make sure that you've got tip as well for the crew. These guys did a great job. I'd have to say that the crew of the Premier was a great bunch of guys.
Yeah,
So especially on a half-day trip where I know sometimes those can be a little bit monotonous for the crew, especially having to deal with kids and whatnot. They were very patient and did a good job. And I must say that the boat was one of the cleanest boats I've been on, immaculately clean, from the galley to the seating area to the heads on the boat. Everything was spotless, so they did a great job of keeping the boat clean. Definitely give them an A+ for that. And they did a good job of making sure that everybody was comfortable and happy and healthy on the trip. And they watched out for us, so, good commendations going towards the crew. And, for a half-day trip, as I said, we did all right. So I can't complain. Most importantly, the kids had a good time. And, for me and the wife and the 2 kids, it only came out to a little bit more than $150 for the trip, which is not bad at all if you think about it. Pretty cheap and easy type of thing to do on a Sunday morning. So if you ever have a chance, look for those kids fish free deals if you want to take your kids out and get them out on the water and, make the most of a Sunday morning. And I believe you can see the Coronado Islands out there down the coast a bit. We did not go into Mexican waters. We kind of stayed just a bit north of the border, just off of Imperial Beach, a little ways offshore. One thing out here, though, there were a lot of mackerel. So that's something to consider when you're fishing in this location, as well as a lot of other locations along the coast. You're going to get inundated with schools of mackerel. For some reason, my weight broke off. I think I may have just done a bad knot or something. And the mackerel came through and took advantage of that as my bait was slowly heading down towards the bottom. And they'll get you. So try to get your bait down as quickly as possible to bust through those schools of mackerel. Otherwise, they can definitely wolf pack you and take your bait and sometimes get you all tangled up too. So, and also, when you're fishing like this, bring a lot of extra weights with you and extra hooks, because it is a bit of a rocky bottom and you're going to snag up and lose a bit of equipment along the way, but that's all fishing, right? Yep, you can see the curly Q where it's a sign of me tying a bad knot, so I'll take the L on that one. But as I said, again, overall, very fun trip on this half-day trip out of H&M Landing on the Premier. So a fun boat. They do afternoon trips as well. So if early mornings aren't your thing, you can also get a 12:30 in the afternoon that goes just to about sunset that day, and just kind of see what you'd like to do. If you prefer AM versus PM, personally, I like the AM trips. Just, I guess I've always believed that it's better to get out on the water earlier than later. But sometimes the PM trips do even better, so it's not a guarantee that one will do better than the other. It may just be a matter of convenience of what works better for you and the family when you're going out on one of these sorts of trips.
Nice. Little guy.
And as I mentioned, the kids had a good time, and there was a lot of other kids on the boat. There was another kid fishing next to us who was his first time out there fishing, and he actually caught a pretty nice calico bass as well as quite a few mackerel. And he seemed to be enjoying himself quite a bit, keeping his dad busy, running around. But that's also part of it. As a parent on these trips, you're going to be pretty busy tending to the kids and keeping an eye on them, making sure that first and foremost that they're safe and healthy, but also that they're trying to make the most of the trip. So there's Aria with her new friend, and that's her with her keeper calico. It's not a bad fish. And as we came in, the dolphins greeted us on the way back into port. So overall, a beautiful trip. So I know this wasn't super action-packed, amazing footage, but hopefully you enjoyed it, and hopefully this will make you think of taking your kids out on a trip sometime, on one of these half-day trips out of San Diego or anywhere else you may be. Especially keep an eye out for kids fish free days or special offers to make it more economical to do. And thank you so much, and please like and subscribe and share with your friends. And until then, keep those lines tight and have a good one. Thanks so much.